welcome, Sylwia.
Hi, Mike.
Welcome to the Digital Marketing for SMEs podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, very nice to have you. So Sylwia Czarnecka,
Yes,
which I think I've got that right.
that's
And
correct.
and you're a brand specialist and a marketing specialist. And you do other things as well, which we'll get into in the interview.
Yeah,
But was that a fair description of what you do?
yeah.
Into that if you want.
Yes. No, that's perfect. So I do branding, graphic design, marketing, and I'm combining my background as well into what I do with clients, and but we'll get more into that in more detail very soon.
Yeah, sure. Well, let's first off just get into how you got into doing what you do. How did you get into branding and marketing? Because I noticed in your profile you also studied accounting, for example,
I did
which
actually. Yes.
is very different to that.
Yes. So it I basically, at the very, very beginning, before I did graphic design and before I did branding, I worked in sales and customer service. So I kind of started at the different side of what it is all about, really understanding what are different client personalities and what they need from customer service experience and how to talk to them in sales perspective to achieve KPI targets and stuff like this. But as I was working in sales, I realized that this is not exactly what I want to be doing. And I've always been creative. I loved drawing. I loved making things. Very passionate about creating stuff and coming up with loads of ideas. And I realized also when I was working in sales, that was at Vodafone, I was always the one wanting to do the like a whiteboard outside of the store, engaging with display and POS to bring people in, people come walk outside of the store, how to bring them in, how to draw them into the store so then we can have a conversation. And one day I came back home from work and I remember it very vividly. I had a little bit of a crisis in a way. And I knew I want to do something different, but I just didn't know what I wanted to do. It's quite a funny story but this is literally how it happened. I went online and I literally typed in Google different job titles. And it brought up this list of different job titles that are out there. And as I'm scrolling, I came across graphic design. And I thought, well, that sounds interesting. So it took me about 6 months looking into what is graphic design, what do they do. I watched different YouTube videos about, different interviews, learning what programs they use, what do they day-to-day look like. I started learning programs and I realized, this is really cool. I want to do it. So then I applied to do a graphic design degree. And that's kind of how it all started. During my graphic design degree, we talked about branding, what is visual identity, brand strategies, marketing, different marketing types. So all of that was included in my graphic design degree, but it was mainly focused on doing the creatives, but also understanding how the world is constructed, how we see the world. And I found that fascinating. I just found it fascinating. How is it that some people behave this way? How is it that people want to buy this, but not that? And I just got really curious about it all. And all of that came from that curiosity of me wanting to know more, understand more. And I think we're going to talk about it a little bit more in depth later on, but this is where my 3 stages at work that I do at Bold Creative, understand, imagine, create, because everything comes from the understanding at first, and then you imagine the ideas and then you create them to really bring that vision into reality. And I studied accountancy when I was working in sales. So I did it for a year. Again, realized that's not what I want to do, but it's a very useful skill.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Because so basically, you're bridging the from design to sales and
Mm,
and business.
Mm,
combining those two things together when they seem quite a separate subjects, design and art and everything. It's not much, people don't relate it to sales, particularly,
mm,
or business.
mm. But it's so connected together. We kind of see them all as different parts because technically they are, but they interconnect so well in such a small, um, invisible way, that we don't realize, but it's very connected, because in design, it's not only what you see, but also what you read, how you react. It's all about psychology. Um, and that's what's fascinating about it.
Yeah, because you said that in a recent LinkedIn post that the branding is not just a logo. People don't just go from that or take from that what your brand is all about.
Yes, yes, that's so true. It's so when we think about brand and businesses that we know, so for example, the big brands, because that's the easiest one to talk about because everyone knows those brands like
Yeah,
Apple,
yeah.
Coca-Cola, um, Nike, Red Bull, and all those big brands. We think of them as logo because this is kind of like their face. You will meet me, and then you will think of Sylwia, um, and you will see my face because that's what you think. But actually, who I am is something completely different.
That's
And
the logo. Your face is the logo.
exactly, exactly. But actually, branding and the way we build the brand is not just about the logo, it's what's happening around it. So it's visuals, which is very much graphic design visuals, how the company looks, what is the typeface, what are the colors, what sort of images you're using, that visual identity that's creating the brand, but it's also what you are saying, and then also how you are doing what you are saying. Are you
Mm.
truthful to that promise that you're making to the customer? And branding is a lot about combining all those values. That it's about also realizing the values, coming, like, posing for a moment from all the different business um activities, and just taking that time to realize, okay, so what do I care about as a business? What do my clients want? um how can I give them what they they need? How can I do it differently than my competitors? Um, and and
How do you go about that with the
exactly.
clients? How do you where do you start with that when you take on a client? How do you get them to find that?
Sure. So when I first start working with a client, we have and it really depends, because it depending what the client needs. So we have the initial conversation about what they do, what is their business doing, but then we have brand strategy workshop where I have a set questionnaire when we go in deeply into what is their goal, what is it that they do, what product or services they offer, what is they what is the process that they take the client on. And during the conversation, we picking up the gaps potentially, or what can be done better in terms of, for example, web design, or different elements that we can integrate to potentially automate the tasks that don't necessarily have to be done individually every single time. Um, and then also realizing what is the personality of the brand. So for example, if the brand is professional, or maybe it's a little bit more playful, or maybe it's very very masculine because this is the product that this company would be selling, for example, or it's a garage.
Mm.
When you compare two different, let's say, accountancy and the garage that repairs vehicles, you see completely different identity there.
Mm.
And that comes down to colors, fonts. It comes down to, the images we're using. And also it kind of works with different rules. With accountancy, you probably want to be more stable, more grounded, more, with the tone of voice. With the garage, perhaps you want to apply a different personality and be more, have a little bit of jokey aspect to the brand, or more like, I don't really know how to explain it, but just a little bit of different tone of voice.
Mm.
And when you start connecting those elements, and it's not just this is who we are, but when you start connecting the elements of visual, of tone of voice, of what you do, and it all comes together and it all works together and there is no disconnect, this is truly when you're reinforcing the business, the brand identity, the who you are, what you do. And with consistency, when you do it over and over again and people see it more and more, just imagine one person coming across your brand once, twice, third time, and they see that everything is always so connected together, like there is no disconnect. They know who you are. And with that consistency, you really allow the business to grow because people now trust you. They are loyal to you. They know what to expect from you. And they
Mm.
will remember who you are when the time comes and they need your services.
Interesting. And you mentioned about asking childlike questions to of clients. I
Sure.
guess that's important just to kind of get down to the basics.
Yes. Yes. Um, yes. So,
Think like a child. Is that
yes.
helpful? Uh,
Yes. No,
any
I've been reading this very interesting book, because I love reading books. And it was, it kind of inspired that post that I created about asking childlike questions, because so often we can be a little bit anxious to ask very obvious questions, but it's very often in those most obvious questions where the answer is.
mm,
Um, for example, why are you doing it this way, not this way? What is your theory about it, for example? And then that could lead to different ways. In what other way can we look at this? That's going to work better for our business or brand, or just in general in our lives.
yeah.
And in this post and in that book, because this is what I shared in this post, was the story of a train, and how the innovations happen, how we come up with different innovative ideas. For example, the question was asked, why do people not want, why people don't want to stand on the trains? Why are people getting annoyed when there is no seat available? I mean, if someone asked you that question, or if someone asked me that question, potentially we would be like, well, that's just obvious, because everyone wants to sit, everyone wants to just relax um, and do whatever they want to do and not stand, right? But when you actually start thinking beyond the obvious, you start to notice that perhaps they don't want to stand because they need to hold on to something, and that's not very comfortable for them. Now they don't have the hand available to maybe drink coffee, or maybe they don't have hand available to look on their phone, or maybe to read the book. And what are different ways, like what can we do for those standing passengers to make that journey a little bit better for them, so it's not becoming like it's not something they don't want to do, but it's actually a choice to choose to stand instead of sit. Because sometimes you see that people are standing and the chairs become available and they don't actually go to sit down, they carry on standing. So perhaps standing isn't actually that bad.
Mm.
And maybe some people prefer to stand.
They've been sat down all day in an office. Maybe,
Exactly.
maybe they want to stand up to stretch.
Exactly. So how can we make this a little bit better for them? And and just by asking those questions, the realization come in, but what if we change the layout of the train, and instead of having the seated passengers by the windows and the standing passengers have to be in the middle of the train, what if we switched it? What if now the seated passengers were in the middle of the train with their table, with their coffee stands and, all of that. And standing passengers were by the wall. So now they can
Mm.
rest against the wall. There is no, shakiness and trying to find your balance. Maybe on the walls, we could integrate cups, to hold the coffee, and
Mm.
stuff like this. And they also get a beautiful view out the window. So now, what do you prefer? Do you want to maybe sit and work on your laptop, or maybe do you want to stand and look out the window, and just relax and do that? And it's all coming back to the initial question: why do people not want to stand on the
Mm.
train? It's a silly question like this, but
Yeah.
the innovation that it could lead to is great, and I'm very much for asking the silly and simple questions when I speak with people and when I do my job.
Yeah.
Um,
That's kind of so it made me think as well.
mm.
So can you tell me a bit about NanoChange?
Yes, so NanoChange is this initiative I'm working on at the moment, and it's not connected really to graphic design as such. It's more connected to my passion about personal development um, and just being your best self. And it's more for business owners, for employees, for anyone who just basically want to create small changes in their lives that are going to lead to big results. So perhaps, I mean, we all have dreams. We all have dreams. We all have the vision that we want to bring forth to our lives. And this NanoChange initiative is starting with a journal. It's going to be a 52-week. Well, it is. It's already designed. It's already out there. I actually have it right next to me. This
Yeah,
is what it looks like.
great.
It's a
Yeah.
growth 52-week journal with a lovely foiling, and it's a 52-week journey that's basically creating those. Well, it's not creating, it's creating a structure for those nano changes to happen naturally throughout the year. So every week, you get like a weekly challenge or a workbook or an activity to do or something to think about, something to ask yourself,
Mm.
something that maybe you didn't think about before, or maybe do something that you haven't done in years, but you really enjoyed doing it, but you just don't find time to do that thing. Just this 1 week in a year, just do this week. Find 1 hour to do something that you really love doing, that's giving you energy, that's bringing something nice to your life. And basically, it's working to basically work on those things. It's really hard to describe. And I'm actually in the process of creating a video about it because it's going to
Mm.
go live on 19th of April. It's actually on my birthday. So that's when it's going to launch on Kickstarter. To share what's inside the journal, how it's going to work, how people can use it. And that's the first that's the first product for NanoChange, for that
Mm.
initiative that I'm doing. But in time, maybe, I'm hoping it's going to grow to something much bigger. And NanoChange is going to be more like an initiative of bringing those nano changes to your life, to your business, perhaps, um, that's over time compounding into big changes.
Yeah, yeah. You did recently the 10K run. Is that part of that project or part of the thinking behind doing that?
10K run was not part of this, but you would perhaps find some challenges in the weekly challenges. There is a weekly challenge, for example, to move a little bit more during this week, to include, for example, 20 minutes of activity in that week. And it's really helping to work more on on the daily habits that we have. Sometimes, well, 1 week perhaps it's working on the positive habit, to include positive habit in your life. The next week it might be to not do something that's negative. For example, maybe have a digital detox and not spend so much time on your phone. So it's kind of coming back. It's integrating 52 different habit building practices that ultimately are meant to help you be the best self you can be. But 10K run was probably kind of the more like an outcome of doing those nano changes, because even last year, I would not dream to be able to do 10K run. So I feel like, to answer your question, whether that's part of it or not, it's not part of the journal, but it's an outcome of what the outcome could be from using the journal. It's kind of going beyond your perceived limitations and really stepping into what you can do because you can, rather than believing that you can't.
Is that what made you do the 10K run? Because of that? Was it that
Uh,
inspiration to kind of push yourself beyond your comfort zone?
yeah. I think so. I mean, my friend asked me if I want to do it, and I said, okay, let's do it. So it didn't kind of come from that naturally, but I am very much about challenging myself, and I have been for the past few years. And I've been setting up different challenges that I like to I like to kind of think of a challenge and do it for a period of time, because after 21 days, you build or break the habit. So in the past few years, I was setting up different challenges, like do something for 30 days straight. For example, do activity, like do 30-day of yoga challenge. Or I did 30-day no meat challenge, just eat vegetarian meals.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, the realizations that kind of come from it are just mind-blowing, because a lot of the times we do something, but we don't think about doing it. We just doing it because it's a habit. So in actually the 30-day no meat challenge that I was doing, I think on the day 10th, I came back from work, I opened the fridge, I made myself a chicken sandwich, and halfway through eating chicken sandwich, I realized, oh no, I'm not supposed to eat meat. So sometimes doing challenges like that are allowing you to see that what you are doing is not because you want to be doing it, but because it's the habit that you kind of created over time. And through doing those challenges and kind of working on different habit building practices and meditating and doing yoga and breath work, and adding more mindful way of living, I've managed personally connect more to my life and also grow in my work as well.
Mm,
Be the best self I can be, because your business will never outgrow you as a person. So the first thing to work on as a leader, as a business owner, is on yourself. I
mm.
believe this is my truth.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Now the blueprint, the understand, imagine, create blueprint.
Hmm.
So can you talk a bit more about that? About how, for example, you would use it with a client?
Sure. So, like I mentioned earlier, when I first start working with a client, we go through the series of workshops. The first stage would be, and again, it really depends what we're working towards, because it really depends on the project. Sometimes someone just wants a simple leaflet, and perhaps that's not necessarily to go through all this, all these questionnaire, or all the questions and stuff like this. But if we're working on a bigger project to do a website and to do the brand strategy, figure out what can we do to be successful, I go through the series of questions, which is a questionnaire. Then we usually do customer and customer journey workshop, where we talk about target audience. Who are you speaking to? What is your client persona? We would normally create either 2 or 3 different client personas. So think about what is their gender, what is their age, what is it that they do, what do they care about, where are they, what is their location, what is their job title. And we get to not only demographic but psychographic of that person. Why do they want to choose you over someone else? So, for example, I recently worked with fencing and landscaping company, and they big thing is about customer service, and about providing quality. It's not about quantity. They don't want quick, easy jobs that they just get in, bulge, and they move on to the next one. They really care about the service and the craftsmanship they provide. So we then realized that what they are speaking, who they are speaking to, it's not just like agency people who rent their houses. It's homeowners. It's people like in this area. It's homeowners. It's older people. It's and we get into the understanding of who are they speaking to. And then we also have a brand strategy, brand storytelling workshop. So we do the series of workshops before we even get on to do visual identity or to do web design. So then we make sure that everything that we create has meaning and it has purpose.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I
it's
guess.
plan, imagine, create.
Yeah, because if you create first, and then imagine, that wouldn't work, obviously. So you have to understand the client and the business first to
Yeah,
make it worthwhile and make it more focused. That
yeah,
makes sense.
100%. Because in in to really use design as your strength in business, you need to know exactly what is your design. You need to know the sorry.
Mm,
You need to
that's fine.
know you need to know the I can't speak. You need to know the visual identity.
Mm,
So then you don't, because beautiful design is everywhere, right? We can see beautiful design over there, and I really like this design. And I see this design, which is something completely different, and I really love it. But when you look at all those different beautiful designs out there, and you take this and this and this and this from that, and you don't know your own design, you're going to just have a messy look that no one is really understanding, no one is connecting with, and you're not reinforcing the brand message and the brand tone. And this is why it's so important. So you understand what is your design in a way, and
mm,
then you follow that.
yeah, interesting. Very interesting. And what is your view on using AI for this? Uh, for example, do you incorporate AI into what you do, into the creative side, or is it more regarding the automation of everyday tasks which don't require too much creativity?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't. I do use AI. I do use AI. I
Any
use
particular platform that you recommend?
I mainly use ChatGPT. I know a lot of people talk about Claude right now, and I haven't used it yet, so
Mm,
I can't say much about it. Although I hear a lot of people using it and a lot of people recommending that over ChatGPT. Um, but until this point, I've been very happy with ChatGPT about the answers and the conversations we were having, and I very much kind of push. Um, I'm using ChatGPT as a collaborator, not as a tool to give me answers.
mm,
And I always try to
A
proof.
co-pilot almost.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
always try to proof check what it's what are the information that it's giving me.
Mm.
And I think that's coming from my graphic design degree and the use of critical thinking that we were very much influenced to do, to kind of create your own opinion about something, not just listen to one thing.
Mm.
Um, so I use ChatGPT a lot. And I mean, all the programs that I'm using for graphic design, they start to integrate AI a lot. And it's very helpful because it's it's making things faster for me. So for example, if it's removing the background, back in the day I had to remove the background by doing outlines, by using special tools, like with the hair, for example. You wouldn't be able to just trace around the head because it needs to look a little bit more like there is something around it to make it
Mm.
appear. But AI tools now with the background remover, with different tools, it's really helping to streamline some of the processes. Um, but for the creation, I very much do it my old way as well. I do research. I do different ideas, for example, like when it comes to creating logos, for example, and brand identities. Um, we find, me and clients, we find different examples of work, what style we like, what we like about this shape or this shape, what does it mean, what is it representing? For example, round corners or whether it's sharp corners. Is it more
Mm.
action? Is it more softness and more approachable and friendly? Um, and I do that manually, manually. But I do integrate AI, and I think it's great. There's a lot of um, things that it's helping me to do in my day-to-day job, whether that's research, whether that's writing stuff, helping me rewrite something, helping me to create better structure for something. So I'm mainly using it for that. But I don't think it would. I think it's AI is very much a tool that we can use to help us do stuff. It's gonna change things, but it's not gonna replace them.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you
That's
think
my
about it?
yeah. That's my view of it too. I'd agree with that.
Mm,
So, so I'm going to ask now some different types of questions.
sure.
Hopefully, you'll be able to answer them.
Oh no.
So the first question I'll ask this, I ask every guest these
Mm.
types of questions. So, what is your favorite piece of music?
Okay. So I don't have a favorite. I listen to different types of music depending on my mood. Sometimes I would listen to rock, for example. And other times I would listen to slow and um, like a steady songs, for example, like Sam Garrett. I really like his music. Um, but I listen to radio a lot.
Mm.
But majority of the time, I just enjoy silence.
Mm.
It's a bit different.
Is there any music that helps with your creativity, helps inspire, or is it silence that does that?
You know what? I actually, when I'm working and I'm concentrating, I don't like any music around me, so I switch it off. And again, it depends what I'm doing. Sometimes it's nice to kind of, move to and do something, but majority of the time I have to switch it off and I have to just focus and concentrate. And I prefer silence.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. What is your favorite book?
So I love reading books. And I could talk a lot about different books, but I think the book that really changed my life, actually, there's two. Um, the paradox, no, the chimpanzee paradox, the paradox of chimpanzee. Let me just find out the title of this book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Chimpanzee Paradox.
Yeah, it's the chimp paradox.
Ah, okay.
It's that's what it looks like. I've
Okay.
read it. I've read it years ago, and the first time I read it, I read a few pages and I was like, this is just for kids. I'm gonna put it away on the on the bookshelf. And then a few years later, I thought I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna give it one more try. And I read through it, and it was obviously the right time for me. And it changed my life, how I'm kind of asking questions and stuff like this. And the other book that I love also is Inside the Yoga Sutras, which is I can't remember who wrote it. I can't remember who wrote it, but there are different Inside of Yoga Sutras books, and this one is a specific one that someone recommended to me to read this one because it's the best edition, it's the best translation, and that also changed my life. And I've read it twice or three times now, and I think I actually need to read it again because the insights it's got, it's just brilliant.
Mm. Is it a Hindu book? Is it? Is it a?
It is. I'm not sure who the translator is, where that person is from who wrote this book, but the Yoga Sutras are Hindu, yes, and it's basically like it's divided into 4 sections, and each section is about something specific, and but it's just universal because it's not talking about any religion or anything like that. It's mainly talking about our perception about ourselves, life, and stuff like this. And yeah, it's great.
Okay, interesting choices.
Yeah.
Favorite holiday destination?
I've recently been to Mexico and I really loved it. But my favorite holiday destination really is where the sun is.
Not Iceland or uh, Greenland or anything.
No, not really, not where the snow is. It's I
Does,
imagine it's also fun to be in the snow, but I like to be in the sun and by the sea.
does Poland have like some nice weather?
So in Poland, you would have proper seasons. So there is spring, summer, autumn, winter. Winter is full of snow. Summer is
Mm.
hot. So it's got hot and cold, and there is sea in the north and mountains in the south of Poland. So you kind of you can go skiing, but you can also go by the sea and relax.
Mm. Yeah. I must go one day.
Yeah, have you not been to Poland yet?
No. Which part of Poland are you from?
So I'm actually from south. I'm not that far from the mountains, and I used to go a lot to mountains and walk up the mountains and stuff like that, which I also really love. And interestingly, I haven't been by the sea in Poland. I've been as a kid, but not as an adult since I moved to England.
Okay. What is your favorite food?
Ooh, chocolate, cake, tiramisu, brownie, cheesecake. But if we're talking about mains, probably Indian curry.
Mm.
Mm,
Yeah, I'll go along with that.
yeah.
It's good. Yeah, good answer. Good answer. Okay, that brings to an end those more informal questions.
Yeah.
And before we go, how if someone wants to your use your business, wants to contact you, um, what is the best way of doing that?
So you can find me, you can find my website at bold-creative.co.uk. You can find me on LinkedIn under Sylwia Czarnecka. But probably Bold Creative is easier. I imagine it's quite difficult to spell my name.
Okay, great. You've been great, Sylvia. And
Thank you.
thank you for your time.
Oh,
And
thank you for having me. It's been brilliant. You ask amazing questions. Really makes me think and try to answer. I try to answer in my best way.
oh, you did great. You did great.
Brilliant.
And yeah, hopefully we'll have you back at some point in the future
100%. I would
for
love to.
for an update on how things go.
Yeah, that sounds
Okay,
amazing.
great. Right.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye. Bye.